Let's give others credit for what they are noticing. My name is Cantey. I am an executive coach and a podcast host. Thank you for being here. I wanted to share a few observations that I've had recently about the fact that people are noticing what we are doing more than we may realize. And I've got a few examples that I wanted to share with you with that today. Let's just talk a little bit about what are other people noticing and can we give them credit for what it is that they're noticing. A lot of times when I'm in an executive coaching engagement, there's this moment of reconciliation between what people think they're doing and what they think other people are noticing about them. And very often we're doing this during a 360 interview process. And even before the 360, I'll meet with the leader. We'll talk about what they want to work on. They'll feel a little awkward saying that they want to get better at building their team or building their talent, whatever it may be. There seems to be a big need for building talent and building teams lately. So what we're noticing is the executive that I'm working with, they need to be able to strengthen their team or build their team. And what happens is when we capture the 360 information and I conduct these one-on-one interviews with individuals that surround them, it's coming back that there's opportunity for this individual. If they're going to grow as a leader, as an executive, they need to be able to build their team more effectively. And so there's this moment of reconciliation that happens over the course of about 4 to 6 weeks in the beginning of our engagements. And this is pretty traditional with most of my engagements for coaching. Is the leader comes to me, they say they want to build their team, they think there's an opportunity there, but they're like, probably people aren't noticing that. They probably think I need to work on elevating my presence or elevating, some other aspect of the work that I'm doing. And what's coming back is what the leader knows they need to do deep in their core is the exact same thing that others around them are noticing. So it's pretty interesting when we bring this together, usually around week 6, we come together and we're like, okay, so this is kind of some ideas that we've been brainstorming that you want to work on. And the feedback that is coming back anonymously, the theme that's coming back anonymously is there could be great benefit for you to continue to grow within this company if we can just grow your team and get them to be a little bit stronger. Because the goal is if we can get your team up and going, then now you've got bench strength that you can pull on to replace your position as you continue to grow within the company. And so everybody knows that we want to try to promote from within for obvious reasons. It reduces cost, it reduces, exposure to the culture that needs to be reconfigured or whatever it may be. And so what we're learning is if we can just keep building the team and building the people around us to doing better things, then it allows all of us to become elevated leaders and more effective overall. So it's interesting to see what if when we pause, what if we take a moment and give credit to those around us that are seeing the exact same thing that maybe we see or we know deep down that we need to be working on, but it doesn't always percolate up. Um, it's not always obvious. And everybody always jokes, why do you have to hire a consultant to come in and tell you the obvious? Because sometimes when it's really close to us, we can't always see the opportunity. We can't always lift that opportunity out and begin to create clarity around it and create executable call to actions as a result of some of this work. So I want to talk today a little bit about let's give credit to those that are around us that are noticing things. And my name is Catherine Cantey. I'm an executive coach and I'm a podcast host of Business Vitality. Thank you for dialing in. If you were here last week, I talked about something. I've created a phrase. I called it word vomiting. And on Thursday, 2 weeks ago, I met with a leader, just a brief conversation. Long story short, the leader was asking for help. It was taking 20 minutes for this person to explain a scenario and then the question. And I asked again, what's the question? And the leader would go through this another 20-minute conversation. And I said, what's the question? And then they would go through it again. I said, your question needs to be a sentence, a question, one line, not 20 minutes, because you're causing confusion about what is really trying to take place. And so I put a phrase on it, and obviously I've got to try to build rapport with these individuals before I put a phrase on it. But in that particular instance, I shared that this leader was coming at me and it just sounded like word vomiting, and it was too much to be able to receive. And they took the feedback, they thought about it, they came back, and I said, "If you do anything with it, I'm just curious, I believe in you. I think you're gonna do great things. You are doing great things. But let me know if you can simplify your message, because do you see CEOs of large businesses coming up and it is a 20-minute explanation, and that's their question? They're not doing that. They're asking very simple questions." And so if we fast forward from that Thursday to the following Monday, this leader reached back out to me and said, "I reflected upon what we talked about, and I really simplified my message, and I had an opportunity that came to me." And I said, "Well, tell me about it." And the leader shared, "I refrained from oversharing all of my words. I kept it uber simple. I did not word vomit. And an offer came back, an offer that I was dying for. And I thought I needed to talk way more than I needed to. And I kept my message clear and simple and concise. And the offer came in. And it was just a great example of somebody that was able to take, a conversation and kind of reflect on it, and then be able to create small steps of momentum and be able to test ideas going forward. So sometimes, it's nice just to be able to get an observation from somebody on the outside of what they're seeing. And sometimes we may not always give them credit for what they're seeing. And we just need to be able to bounce ideas off of people. And so, just being able to give others credit for what's happening and what's going on out there is nice to be able to get an outside opinion if you've got the courage and the humility to be able to receive it. And so, just wanted to share that kind of as a recap from last week. My name is Catherine Cantey. I'm an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. And what we're seeing is a lot of what we think is new and shocking and scary is already known about our area that we're in. And there's this great, aha moment when we begin to reconcile this feeling that maybe people don't notice certain things, or maybe they're seeing things in a different way than the perception that I'm giving. And you know, it's hard to always be able to deliver some of this news, and building rapport along the way has helped to be, useful along the way. And as I look at this, a lot of times we think we're going one way, and we may not always be delivering in that way. And something that I was reading about over this past weekend was this uncertainty. And as we grow as leaders, we're learning that we have to get really uncomfortable with the uncertainty. And sometimes there is that uncertainty between what we think we're doing and what's being received by others. And they had a great example of uncertainty. Uncertainty, we're addicted to. If we want to know what time it is, we look at the clock. Uncertainty is something else we're addicted to. If we want to know what the weather is, we look at the app on our phone. And when it comes to leadership, there's not always certainty that's easily available. It's not always certain that when I act this way, it's going to be received this way. And the world that we are in, constantly plugged in 24/7, we're looking at a lot of this stuff, and we're looking at it as if there's supposed to be a definite, certain path. And there isn't always a definite, certain path. If there was, we would probably be stuck in some kind of analysis paralysis because we never make a decision. And so, this uncertainty is where we need to begin to get used to if we're going to continue to grow our careers and grow ourselves and grow the team that we're in. And I can't help but laugh at one of the individuals that I met with last week, one of the directors, and they shared that somebody came to them and honestly thought that if they provided their job description to a manager and checked off every one of their job descriptions, that therefore they needed to be promoted because they checked the box. And a job description is a suggested way of moving forward with your work. It is not a checklist of what needs to be done. It is not a certain, this is exactly what you need to do. And once you get it done, you're done. So life is not always a checklist and it is uncertain. And just because you think you've gone down the checklist of job description duties doesn't always mean that you're going to be available for some kind of promotion that's there. And I was speaking with another leader and kind of hit the nail on the head is if you could continue to exceed your expectations, your job description is just a recommendation of what you need to do to keep the job. And if you keep working on this job description and exceeding expectations year over year, much like business, year over year, um, you're going to be able to win in the long run. And, a lot of times I remember in the beginning of my career, I had a lot of freedom and flexibility and opportunity for growth. And what I wanted to look at was what is my salary and what is the value that I bring to this company? And I know that that is not always certain. You cannot always put a clear number on it, but we could always break down what is my hourly rate? What is my weekly rate? What are they paying me? Include the benefits because all this stuff costs money. But look at what your salary is and look at the area that you're managing. And not just the gross top number that you're managing, but look at the net and see what is the net benefit that you're providing to the company. And when you do the research on this, a lot of companies will come back and say they need a 10x return. So, whatever my salary, my benefits, all that good stuff is, I need to be able to provide 10x that number back to the business. And really, if you're looking at your job and your the work that you're doing, if you're not providing that, we're not in a position to be able to ask for more. We're not in a position to be able to ask what the next project is or what the next opportunity is because we may not even be covering our existing expenses. So, like, how do we begin to look at the job that we're doing, look at the job description that we have, and begin to realize how can I exceed expectations for a good 2 or 3 years before we know that this career path is going to take me somewhere else? So, understanding that, we need to be okay with this uncertainty that sits between what we think we're doing and maybe what other people are noticing, and being okay with that uncertainty that's out there. And then also knowing that when it comes to our job and the work that we're doing, we need to continuously exceed expectations. And also, just for fun, also realize that the job description is just a mere suggestion of what we need to be doing. I mean, I never looked at a job description and just thought, oh, that's all I need to do. Like, I looked at the job description and I started reading between lines of like, how do I make this better? And do we need to keep doing this? And like, how do I build stronger relationships within this organization? And I learned all of that based off of all my past blow ups and mistakes that I made along the way. Along the way, I realized I was too closely aligned to one leader for a long time. And I didn't realize it until that one leader left. But then when I was given the next opportunity, I realized that I needed to build relationships on the front end before I needed or asked for anything. And I needed to lead with value and kindness and help to other people in the workplace before I could be able to help myself and be able to ask for help down the road. And, as we think about this, I want to give others credit for what they're seeing. My name is Cantey. I'm an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. And today we're talking about just giving credit to those around us. They see more than maybe what we realize. And they're also recognizing us for some of the work that we may or may not be doing. They may be recognizing us for the work that we think that we're doing or we don't think we're doing. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of people that are noticing. And I think we need to give them credit for what's being taking place around us. And some of the individuals that I'm coaching, I had a conversation last week, and they think because they're not being seen by their senior management that they aren't being recognized for the work they are or are not doing. And I have to beg the differ on this because they're being seen. They may not physically be seen in a faraway destination of working, but the senior leadership team knows if you're delivering the numbers. They know if you have HR problems. They know if your team's not delivering. They know how to get the gauge and the pulse on what's going on in the company. Just because you're not seen every day does not mean that you're not being recognized for the work that you're doing or the team that you're being built. People know if you have a strong team it radiates throughout the company. I was speaking with a senior leader not too long ago, and one of the managers was out, and so the team had to step up. The team stepped up, and it was a very difficult customer conversation on the phone. This happened to two different difficult customer conversations. They came back, and the senior leader said, "The manager's out that I've been working with, that I'm coaching. The manager's out. The team's on the phone. They're working with some challenging customers. We love our challenging customers. But what happened was the challenging customer went on and on about what a great job this team is delivering. And so, for a senior leader to be able to receive that kind of feedback from challenging customers that the team is delivering, that the team is getting the work done, like that is fantastic. But we have to realize that we have to give credit to those around us of like what they're seeing and what's going on. People have ways to know whether things are working or not working. And I think we need to give credit to those people that are around us, that are observing us, that are realizing we are or are not delivering what we need to. And sometimes we got to have the courage to be able to step up and say, maybe things aren't going the way they are. They're really good the way they are, but like we need to just take it even further. And as one of my mentors has told me and has written a book about it, Marshall Goldsmith likes to say, what got us here will not get us there. And there's going to be times in our career, usually for me, it always happened about every 12 to 18 months. I had to pivot and I had to learn new techniques. I had to learn new leadership skills because what was working and what got me here was not going to allow me to continue to grow. And so I'm working with another leader, fantastic, gets stuff done, amazing person. Now we're going to pivot and we're going to work around how we're going to leverage the team, grow the team, and make that team as strong as possible. And if you're used to being an independent contributor and you're going back into building a team, we've got to be able to put the focus on the team and know that when your team gets highlighted, you're going to be lifted with them. But what comes first is the team. And just that question of, I don't know if my senior management notices. Your senior management notices, and we need to give them credit for what they're observing, what they're seeing, and how they're supporting you. My name is Catherine Cantey. I'm an executive coach and a podcast host. I appreciate you being here. I'm just talking a little bit today about let's give credit to those around us and what they're seeing. And I wanted to just continue to kind of share some of these observations and coaching stories that I'm learning as I'm working with some of my clients. And as we kind of wrap this up, I want to be able to share with you something that I read, and I'm sure a lot of you have read, Steven Spielberg's work and have seen his movies. And something that really stood out lately, it was one of his interviews that I saw, was that he is probably one of the hardest people to work with. And yet he's a difficult, director to work with because he really expects a lot out of his team. He expects a lot out of the people that are supporting him. And part of that process is he's asking people this question, and this is the question I want to leave you with as we begin to kind of wrap this up. Steven Spielberg will ask his actors, and he's working with them to create another great piece of art, of work, and he pushes them and pushes them and pushes them, and at the end he asks a very simple question. The question is that your best work? Is that your best work? And if we pause and we ask those around us, is that your best work? If they say yes, then let them be. Because if you're true to yourself and you're true to the team that you're on, you'll know whether or not that was your best work. You'll know whether or not doing your job description and exceeding your expectations, you know whether or not that was your best effort for today, your best effort for this week, your best effort for the year end. Think about it. Is this your best work today, in this moment, as you're heading into this next week? Are you putting forth your best work? That's a hard question to be able to answer. And at the end of the day, we have to reconcile back with ourselves that yes, I showed up, I made notes, I took action, I did everything I could, given everything within my wheelhouse that I'm managing. And is that your best work? If you can say yes, then you have to be at peace with it and know that, yeah, that's everything that I've got. And realize that the folks that are around us, they notice way more than we're giving them credit for. There are more people that are watching us and listening to us than we maybe realize. And they're reading between the lines, they're reading the body language, they're reading the conversations, they're reading our facial expressions, they're reading our emails, they're reading everything about us. And as we begin to kind of dig deeper into that stuff, we need to realize, are we doing the best work that we can? Because it's going to allow us to continue to stretch and grow just a little bit further. My name is Catherine Cantey. I'm an executive coach and a podcast host of Business Vitality. I love to partner with teams, individuals, and leaders. We create measurable leadership change. We're doing that using practical applications, many of which that I just explained today. And our clients are receiving accelerated results as a impact of the work that we're doing. And I very much enjoy it. And if you have any questions or curiosity about how do I create a measurable leadership change, a lot of times my clients, this conversation starts out with, "Hey, Catherine, I don't even know if you can help me, but can we talk?" And when we talk, we begin to figure out, what's the root cause or what is the root thing that we're trying to accomplish. And then we usually reverse engineer and create a path to success for them. And it's a lot of fun to be able to partner and support them in their success. If you're interested in learning more, feel free to send me a message. I would love to hear from you if any of this resonates with you, or if you are curious about creating measurable leadership change, reach out to me and we can grab a few minutes on the phone and we can see where it can go. You can also reach me at catherinecantey.com. Again, my name is Catherine Cantey. I'm an executive coach and the host of Business Vitality. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you the best week. Bye.